Hello and welcome to the Ray Show podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Ray, and I am in beautiful downtown Athens, Georgia, on a nice, overcast, kind of sunny day here in our beautiful little music town. Welcome to everyone. I hope everybody's doing well out there in podcast land, swirling in the cosmos. We got a great episode for you today. We've got JD Jeff Pinkus on the show from his solo fame, playing with the mighty Butthole Surfers, the mighty Melvins, the mighty Honky. I mean, he's just, the list goes on, and he's super cool, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But first of all, just want to thank you everybody for all the love for the Brian Poole and the Jarbo episodes. Brian's a really good friend of mine. I consider Jarbo a friend now. She's an amazing artist, and I cannot trumpet her catalog anymore. Same thing with Brian, and I'm sure you guys have been checking out his work. You'll be hearing a lot of new stuff coming from him soon. I also want to thank everybody for all the support for the live shows. We're a third of our way to our goal, so if you can help us out, the GoFundMe is still up. It's on our Instagram page, and we'll share them on all the appropriate sites. We're trying to make this very, very special. We're in a partnership with Cine. It's going to be really, really cool. We're going to be live streaming from the lab with a special guest, and it's just going to be a fun night out. So we're trying to make this as cool as possible, and we do need a little of your help. I promise you I will get you back in this life on this plane, and thank you so much for those who have donated. Also want to announce we're going to start putting out some mini episodes. We're trying to nail down what day we'll be releasing them at, but it'll basically be me, Jack, Brant, Mike Schulenberg, Jeff Rapier, Jonathan Thompson. You know, all kinds of cats are going to be coming on the podcast on these mini episodes where we will try and talk about meaningful and meaningless things. So be on the lookout for that. And also, finally, before we get to the talk with JD Pinkus, want to announce, not announce, it's already been out there, that he will be playing here in Athens at the Jeff Rapier and Gary Autry art opening at the wonderful Flicker Theater and Bar here in beautiful downtown Athens. So that'll be on Friday, June 17th. So get your tickets now. You'll get to see some cool art. And then you'll get to see the badass that is Jeff Pinkus get up and do his thing. So without further ado, my friend and yours, Jeff Pinkus. Well, welcome, Jeff. I want to thank you so much for doing the Ray Show podcast and for playing for us here in Athens coming soon. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Like I said, when we just talked before, it just rained out here. It's nice and cool. I found my short shorts. I got the wind blowing through my chest hairs. And it's just, I know y'all can't see me, so I want to give a visual,
We need the visual.
Birds are singing. The chickens are pissed off because we haven't fed them yet. At least we don't have a rooster crowing during this one this time.
Well,
I'm doing great, though, man. Hope you are too, Johnny Ray. Good to talk to you, man.
Yeah, man. How many chickens do you have? Let's just start out right there.
Well, I did a video from a Getting It song, and all those chickens got killed.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So at least they were immortalized for a minute.
Yeah.
And I got to spend some special time with each and every one of them. But now we have some of the relatives that we gave to the neighbors that they wanted to get out of the chicken game. So we got some boring ones. Now we only got 5 because our dogs killed one of them. They bonded over a chicken, I guess. And as my wife told me, Camille told me that the new phrase for chicken that she just heard was nature's popcorn. So there's just so many of them out there. So unfortunately, I already named one of them, and she was actually attacked by the dogs too. But she survived. My wife's really good. She's like the nurse for those things. She's really good at it. But she got she's okay. But unfortunately, she was the rooster's sister. And he was Logan, and he was the last survivor. It was like he got attacked by a bear. It was a huge raccoon, and he was opening up the door in this way we didn't think he could. And so we were really baffled as to how he was getting in, but and we tried to protect him. He even ate one out of an old dog pen we had. We fenced him in, and we put that in there, and he grabbed a chicken while Logan was watching and pulled her legs through the bars to eat her.
Good
right
God.
Yeah, it was brutal. And then and finally Logan, and he got hit on that one, and he took about 3 weeks, and he didn't make it. So anyways, now we don't name them except for Lugette, who is obviously Logan's sister, and the other ones are just really big fluffy pieces of popcorn, just ready to be
eaten. Well, shifting gears from chickens, you are coming here to Athens, Georgia. You're going to be playing an awesome show at the Flicker Theater for our buddy Jeff Rapier's art opening. What are your first?
And Gary Autry too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
both amazing artists.
Both of them amazing artists. What was your first memory of coming to Athens? Did you come? You played with the Surfers. Did you guys play here?
Yeah. Oh, that was my first show with the Surfers. But I was up there before because I grew up in Atlanta, north of Atlanta, and I went to North Springs High School, and I went to Woodland Elementary, and I went to Morgan Falls Dam to swim. But me and my friends would go up and pick up acid in Athens. Those are my earliest memories of doing that. We would go up there, and I remember we'd drink like Crystal Light lemonade with acid in it. So that's the way these guys did it. And then just hang out there. And after we were done, we'd take the acid back to us and our friends back then. So I just remember doing bong hits on the way up in the car, doing bong hits in my friend's car. And I don't know, we don't even remember getting there the first time we went there. But that's how it started out, and then it evolved into playing music up there a little bit, and I didn't get up there to play music until I was in bands in Atlanta, but I didn't get up there to play until my first show was the Jack Officers.
Absolutely.
I believe it was at the 40 Watt that we did this show at, because I know we played there, and we lit up the bar with a bunch of cans of Orange Crush, and we were covering The One I Love by REM on one of the tours. But this one, we were tapping our crotches with contact mics on them. That said, it had Davey and Goliath episodes going off from the kids show. So we had a 4-track, and every time we would hit our crotch, it would trigger off some dialogue from the TV show. Hey, Davey. And our whole theory then was not to play something awful for the crowd. It was we didn't, for one, we could get paid as being the opening band. For two, we didn't have to move our gear. And, it was just we didn't have to deal with talking to anybody that wasn't in our bands, which was always a plus, too. Because, Butthole Surfers fans are fucking weird.
Yeah, I could only imagine just being one myself.
That's like a red flag when they come up and they go, hey, man, I'm a big, huge Butthole Surfers fan. And I don't know why. I just got to back off.
Well, getting back to the acid, I grew up in Clemson, and we would get acid. It just seems like the college town thing. You'd have these kids going to Dead shows and stuff and bringing stuff back. So thanks to the colleges for the acid for all these years.
Yeah. I remember us Metroplex punk rockers hanging out with the Grateful Dead fans outside the Fox Theater, and just trying to score acid. It was like it was kind of like the old Austin, Texas, when the bikers and the hippies and the cowboys all got together.
Yeah. Well,
all over acid, man.
Well,
I'm much more of a shroom person now.
Oh, I am too, man.
There's a big difference between the two, and I think as someone said, LSD is way more analytical, and mushrooms are like having a friend. And
Yeah, yeah.
so always nice to have a friend and a little glow on the day,
Yeah, I feel like I'm just really stoned when I do shrooms now, but acid is like I don't have 3 days to stay up anymore. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. What's kind of funny is I don't know how detailed to get into the story, but I just played something and someone's like, "I got something for you," and I was like, "Oh, really cool." And he's like, "You do acid?" I was like, "Well, every once in a while, I'm more of a shroom guy." And he goes, "Here you go," and it was an airplane bottle and airplane booze bottle, and there was nothing in there. And he goes, 1,000 hits of acid in there. And I looked at the bottom, and there was like a little bit of a cloud down there, just stuck to the plastic. I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, it might give you a headache if you do it all. All right. So I still have that airplane bottle, but it's hidden away somewhere, so the authorities can't find it.
there
I put
you
it at
go.
I put it at my neighbor's house,
There you go.
right behind the weed I grow.
Always the good plan. So you're touring in support of the excellent Fungus Shui. And I want to dig a little deeper here in a little bit about the songs, but how did this record come about?
Well, I'd done the first one, "Keep on the Grass," and that was live in the studio, and I did that with my banjo sensei, Danny Barnes, and he asked me to do it, actually, to do some songs and turn into an album. And he was trying to do kind of cassette label. I was gonna say record label, but Minter Bucket cassettes. And so we did he mixed it all and put it onto a cassette, and he had it in one order, and I don't know why I changed the order of it, but I did. And he said, go ahead and press it if you want on CD and vinyl. So I did that. So I had my first album done, and like I said, it was live in the studio. So it was pretty much what you see is what you get. And the first time for me trying to kind of log my music in. And this one, since I moved out here, I had a lot more songs, which I still have plenty more left. But I decided to do a little bit more produced one here at the house since it was pandemic times, anyways. So I did it in a little different way. And so it's got a little bit more production on the recording side of it, and maybe less production on the back side of it, like because Danny added so much to my last one.
Right,
But
right.
I wanted to do a follow up. I wanted to do a different version of me doing my own songs than just doing the live one like I did before. And the next one I plan on doing is supposed to be with a really amazing guy, Mike Savino, Tall Trees, and he's like an actual like player. I'm a hack, but he's gonna do a record with me, I believe. Hopefully we're gonna record at the end of August, and it's gonna be out on Shimmy Disc, and it'll be more of my songs, but with him playing. It'll be two banjos, and he's got a bunch of material too that I'm gonna try and wrap my brain around. And so that'll be like, I like to change it up each time I do it, hopefully, so it's not the same version of it when I do that. Hopefully I'll have a full band by to do some of it like Stanley Brothers style at one point.
Hell yeah, man. Damn.
That was before the pandemic. It was Danny Barnes and Mark Rubin were going to come out and record my songs, bass and guitar, and I was going to struggle. Like, they were going to lay down their stuff, and then I would lay down my stuff after they did the backing tracks, because it will take me a lot longer. But due to the pandemic, it was supposed to be that April of that when everything shut down, and never got to happen. So that would be my dream, though, to have like that many different kinds of versions of stuff like that.
Oh hell yeah! And I mean, sir, you are far from a hack on the banjo.
Well, I have a hard time playing with other people. Let's put it that way. It's like I love to write songs on the banjo and do stuff, but like when I'm around real players, I realize my limitations really, really quick.
right, right. Well, how long you been playing banjo? How'd you get into banjo?
Well, always loved the way they sounded, and I got it. I got my first one in like I think I got my first one in '80. I mean, like 88, 89, and it was a real cheap one. And then I got a nicer one, the one I still play actually in 1991. And I remember we were touring with the Flaming Lips and Stone Temple Pilots, and there was a song that "Turn It On," I believe. Yeah, that was the one. And I'd come up and play with the Flaming Lips, and that was like in 1990, probably 1991 or 92 or something like that, maybe
Yeah.
93.
Yeah.
But so I've always enjoyed doing it. I just never thought of doing like an album of my songs or anything. And when I did it, I really enjoyed it, and being able to layer it, because a lot of times you have an idea in your head and you play with a band and you give up certain things so they can do their thing. And so I think you can kind of create a more pure image of what your idea is by doing it stripped down. And I think Jim Kay, the guy who did Ren and Stimpy, someone asked him about how come cartoons suck nowadays, and he said, well, because everybody has to compromise on their ideas. And when he did Ren and Stimpy, it was just him. And if you looked at like the new Bugs Bunny and stuff, that was done years and years later, you can tell how just it's got no substance whatsoever. I mean, I used to love Bugs Bunny,
Yeah.
but you watch the new stuff, and it's just a bunch of people in an office that are like, okay, well, you do that, and then I've got this idea for this here, and and this. Having one person be the captain, sometimes you get a better image of what they're trying to bring across.
Right, right. I remember somebody talking about those Bugs Bunny, the early ones. They were talking about you couldn't watch many in a row because there's so much action, so much story packed in.
Yeah. Oh,
To the
yeah.
right things.
Oh, it's amazing, man. And and then we were of the days where you had to, at least I was. I guess I would assume you were too, but being that we discussed our ages, but yeah, to go down on Saturday morning to actually watch, cartoons. I was
Absolutely.
kind of lucky. I had Ted Turner in Atlanta, so and you probably did too, I
We
guess. So
we
we
had
would
it
have
come
some.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, we would have some, Spider-Man in the afternoon after school or whatever, shit like that. The old ones, that stuff. But yeah, so nowadays, you can call anything up and look anything up anytime. There's no Saturday morning's no different than Tuesday afternoon.
Ain't that a shame, man? There's just a
I
shame
guess.
about it you can't explain to people,
I guess, man. Well, I mean, everybody's got, as Pepper Keenan from COC calls it, the pocket Jesus. And it's like
Yeah.
you can, you could be on a subway and be watching old school Bugs Bunny on a Tuesday afternoon somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, all of these recordings, especially "Keep on the Grass" and then the new one, they just have this real positivity, and I guess you sound so free. I know these recordings affect your writing, knowing hell I can do whatever the hell I want to.
Yeah, it's really also weird because you never know when you're finished. I mean, I know when I'm finished, but I have no one to bounce it off of. And my wife's so sick of the song by the time I finish it, because our house is small.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can't ask her for anything. She just wants it to be done. She'd be like, "Yeah, that's great. Just stop."
Well,
But
you
yeah,
know,
it's.
go on. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah. As far as the positivity goes, it's just what I'm trying to be in my world, and hopefully that comes out with what I do, because I speak about reality is one thing, but to bring people down is another thing. So that's all I was gonna point out on that.
Yeah, yeah. And for anyone that doesn't know, and I can't believe you'd be listening to this, if you didn't, Jeff was in the Butthole Surfers. And just briefly want to touch on just a little bit of that. Just how intense were you guys with the Psychedelics when you joined that band?
Well, it was weird. It came like we had a thing with all drugs. Like, we would pretty much do them until they were gone. We didn't like to hold on to shit, and we were pretty poor. So, we'd get to certain areas, and then we'd we'd get to the Northwest especially, and the psychedelics were everywhere up there, and people, a guy named Rainbow is drying some blotters, and he's like, "Here, dude, these ones are from the bottom, man." It's just we did acid to keep ourselves awake on a drive from LA to New York, and we drove straight across, and those red sphere acid, I remember. But we had some experiences on the way out there. There's a rest area experience that was pretty intense, and some other shit. But the thing that people don't realize is being on the road, especially back then, as long as we were on the road with the budget that we had, every night was a trip anyways. And if you're already in that mode that you're used to, which acid would do to us, every night was a little bit more similar. It was the same trip, different place.
Yeah.
It was touring is a weird thing that way, especially back then in those days.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing people forget about. It was affordable. You could for $5 you could have a crazy time, and
and then we would end up like our tours would be like end up in a town. Someone would have a warehouse. We'd unroll our sleeping bags and our pads, and we just hang out there. And they're like, "Hey, so when's your next show?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're working on that." And then they get there. Then they get in touch with their friends. They're like, "Hey, we found you a show.
Right.
Get the fuck out." So I mean, it was we didn't have cell phones. I remember we did have a cell phone on our RV tour, and it was like $5 a minute. It was like one size smaller than a bag phone.
Right.
And it's like one of those things when you're on an airplane, you're like, "Hey, you won't believe where I'm calling you from." I remember those days, man. That was crazy. But but things are a lot different. Also, we could tour a lot more places because people didn't already see the show from someone filming it on their phone and sending it to everybody. It's more like you'd have to describe, like, okay, well, I mean, there's this chick and she's got green dye on her legs, hairy legs, and aluminum foil on her teeth, and her head's shaved, and she's doing a handstand on steps with a strobe light, and then there's a symbol thing with some fire. That would be the way people would have to describe it to their friends instead of actually showing the video from their phones.
Right.
I think that drew people out because you couldn't really picture it in your head.
Necessarily
what was going on by the description. You might get a picture of it like in a fanzine or something like that. But now everything's, we toured. Well, I was playing with the Melvins. We did some shows with the Raconteurs, and Jack White's got this thing about no cell phones, and it's not actually about recording his show. He says it's about just people enjoying each other and enjoying the moment.
Yeah.
And not it's not so he gives his show away or something like that. It's just all about people. He's weird that way. He doesn't carry a cell phone, so that's I kind of dig that idea of it. Although there's no way that would work at my level. But to force people to I remember when we were up there on stage getting ready to play, and people were sitting there talking to each other, like in the seats. Like we could see them because we played early. It was nice and lit up out there still. And people seemed like they were actually having conversations and shit. It was nice.
That's nice. Yeah, I mean, I hope that works. I applaud and dig the idea. I just hope people aren't arguing the whole time because they can't look on their goddamn phones.
People, it's a serious addiction nowadays, man.
It really is.
Yeah, I mean, I know people that can't put it down, and some people that they need it. They're lonely. They got to have their social interaction somehow. Me, I can't wait to get the fuck away from everybody after being on the road for a while. I just want some privacy, which luckily, touring by yourself, you actually get a lot of privacy. I don't have a guy I bring with me, so I do all the merch, all the tour managing, all the driving. And I like it that way because you don't have to entertain somebody with what kind of music you want to listen to, and you really don't even want to listen to music. It's just it's a nice peace of mind and a nice break. So when I get off the road, I actually don't mind talking to people anymore.
Yeah. When I do a gig alone, when I fly out to Vegas or something like that alone, people are like, "How do you do that?" And I'm like, "It's amazing. I can go anywhere the hell I want to. I can go eat when I want to. If I want to go up and rest in the room, I don't want to,
Yeah, I mean, that's me on the road. I don't really eat that much. And when I go on the road with like the Melvins or whatever, it's like there's a routine and everybody, it's you're going to eat it this time. And if you don't eat it this time, you don't know when the next time you're going to get to eat is. So to me, it's really freeing being out by yourself.
Right. Now, speaking of the Melvins, we're going to see you maybe anytime in the near future recording or playing with those guys?
I just did the couple of songs. Like I said, 1/18th of the Melvins of the Melvins acoustic album, Five Legged Dog. I did 2 songs, and I believe there's 36 songs on there.
Yes.
But as Buzz put it, those are 2 very beautiful songs. So, I played banjo on that one. I saw Buzz actually when they came through and played with Ministry and COC, and he told me that next year is the 40th anniversary, and he wanted to do something with me again next year. So we'll see what happens. I was just hoping to open for the Five Legged Dog acoustic tour. That would just make me happy.
Right, right. Well, what was it like
Yeah.
playing with those cats?
Oh, I love playing with them. I guess the first time I played with them was on the 30th anniversary tour when Jared's wife was having their baby, and I did the double drum tour, and then Buzz called me up. I was actually doing a really cool recording session down in Houston with the original guitar player from Honky, and he goes, hey man, well, is Honky available to open up for the Melvins? I was like, I didn't even ask the dates. I said, of course, man. Whenever, man, it was fine. Yes. And I didn't have to talk to anybody. I'd make that happen. And he goes, well, is it okay if Dale plays drums for Honky? I was like, of course, man. I'd love to have Dale play drums. He goes, oh, well, how about you playing bass for us? Will you play bass for us? I was like, oh, fuck yeah, man. I'll do that. So that's how my first tour with them went. Buzz is a businessman who he combines the people that are it's a business, and he knows how to make it work and how to combine people. And not only was Honky on the bill which only meant bringing Bobby, who's our guitar player. uh, uh, Bobby was asked to be the guitar tech for the Melvins. So he was actually double dutying. That's how Buzz works. He's got everything. How can we do this with the fewest amount of people, so we all actually go home with money?
Yeah, and they don't fuck around, man, on those itineraries. They like 2 months, 60 fucking dates. I mean,
Yeah. Those guys are all in, man. I'm doing a tour September. Well, I'm on a tour. I got to get to it and back from it, but their tour starts September 13th to October 17th, and I'm like, that's the perfect length for me right there. I love that. But yeah, I saw their tour itinerary for this one, and that's a long time to be away from Asheville, man.
long time, long time,
Yeah.
and God bless them. So, but going back to just a few quick things, I wanted to, what are you proudest of from your time in the Surfers?
Oh, shoot, man, that's a good question. Proudest of? You mean about what we created,
Yeah,
or just the
absolutely.
whole experience? Well, yeah, I don't know. We did so many different things, so many different ways. When I first joined, we did locust abortion, and they'd already started on some of that. So that's one of my first, when I first started playing with them, and we were just doing song by song. It wasn't like going into the studio to do something. Then we did Hairway to Stephen, which we were on the road so much at that point in time that we would actually write songs while we were on the road. And I actually wrote like a large portion of the music for Hairway.
I love that record.
And
It's one of my favorites.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, that's I think that's when a lot of people your age or whatever were first getting into it. It depends on the first version you see of the band. I think
Right, right.
If you saw the band in 1982 before King was in the band, that's probably your favorite version. Or if you saw in 1983 when King first started, that's probably your favorite version. That's my theory, anyways.
Right.
Nobody ever, like when people saw the Melvins with 2 drummers. It was hard for them to, people either wanted to see Dale play by himself, or they love the 2 drummers. But if you love the 2 drummers and that was your favorite version, then you're fucked.
Yeah.
But as far as the Butts go, we evolved into doing different stuff when we weren't living together anymore. And I'm really proud of the EP Widower Maker, which was a lot of fun because that one was done pretty much like that was a different style of recording because we actually had to program drums because King didn't have a driver's license, and he couldn't get out to where we were at all the time because we were out in the country and he was in Austin. So we had to make do with what we had, but like we all programmed our drums like King would play them. He's got a style that kind of was easy to do that. And so that one was a cool album just because of the different way of creating it. I was really proud of that one. But yeah, and then Independent Worm Saloon was with John Paul Jones, and that
That's
was just a
insane.
total rock record. And I enjoyed that experience a lot. It was totally different. You know, it was like, you know, we went 5,000 or 6,000 bucks, I think it was, over our recording budget, and that was all in whiskey. And we didn't even drink the whiskey until after we were done at the end of the day. Well, most of us, but
And
it was real expensive whiskey.
y'all were jamming like Zeppelin songs with John Paul Jones, right?
Well, the first day he showed up, he was at our studio to do like some pre-production. His Casio keyboard and we're in this tiny little room with our clip speakers in our studio, the way we practice when we were recording and shit. And he's set up with his little notepad and his Casio, and we're like, okay, let's check your level. And so he starts playing Cashmere with the Casio.
God
Like,
almighty, that's so
yeah, we're
great.
all like jaw dropped. We're like, holy shit, this is fucking happening right now. In fact, I played banjo on that record, and John Paul Jones was sitting right next to me playing bass guitar, and Paul was in front of me on guitar, and King was playing some kind of conga kind of stuff. But yeah, never in my like 15-year-old, you know, high times pot fantasy did I picture, you know, playing banjo with John Paul Jones playing bass right next to me on a
Yeah.
song I wrote.
I saw him live with them Crooked Vultures, and I remember leaving just being so inspired. I was like, he had to be 70 then, and he was
Yeah.
just so agile and so just in it, man.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I saw him with after we recorded. We went to see him with Diamanda Gallas, who
oh man,
we had recorded with, but it was just them two together, him with an 8-string bass and her magnificent voice. And saw him at the Paramount Theater, and we were like, hey, so yeah, he wanted us to hang. We were like, yeah, let's go down to the bar. So we went down to the Four Seasons bar where he was staying at, and I knew his favorite kind of scotch was Lagavulin. So I was like, hey, let me get you a Lagavulin. He goes, no, get me a Shirley Temple. I was like, yeah, right. So one Lagavulin. He goes, no, I'm serious. He goes, y'all drove me to quit drinking. And he was in the Scotch Drinkers Society of Bath, England. So we actually drove John Paul Jones to quit drinking.
you should get bumper stickers made. God damn,
Yeah,
that's classic. God bless him.
yeah.
Um,
I invented a game of pool while we were all up in the middle of nowhere in Marin County at this really cool studio called the Site, and so we were playing pool every night, drinking whiskey, and so I invented this game called Six Ball, which was a gambling game. And the way we did it, it was kind of like, there's, I won't go through all the rules, but anyways, we could play it with multiple people with everybody anteing up. But I won, I think it was $80 off of him. Maybe it was $60 that night off of him on a game I invented. I
oh
was
my
like,
God.
yeah, I'm really good at that. For some reason, I have this power of making people gamble with me on shit that I come up with.
Oh shit, dude! I wonder if you like thought about that while you're trying to fix your broken physical graffiti tape or whatever when you're a kid, you know. Um,
I do have a piece of. It's funny because it's just in cardboard, and I need to get it framed someday. I've had it since back when we recorded, and he was playing on my. He had a Martin acoustic bass, and I had a Guild acoustic bass, and he was playing on my acoustic bass to check out the difference because it had a much bigger body, and he popped a string on it, and his eyes and his mouth just opened up. He goes, "That's the first string I've ever broken." I was like, no
oh
fucking
my
way.
God!
And it was on my fucking bass. And so he goes, I did have a broken string on my bass one time, but it was Paul McCartney who was playing it. And
Oh my God!
but anyways, the next morning he wanted to buy me a new pack of strings. And I said, no, don't worry about it. Just give me a little note that says this is the first string you ever broke. So the next morning I wake up and he's down with the calligraphy and a poster Sharpie and a poster board, and it says, I, John Paul Jones, do hereby declare that this was the first string I've ever broken. So I still got it. It's like sitting in my bedroom right now because I just found it again in between two pieces of cardboard that says "most important." That's all it says on it.
Oh
And
my God, man!
I keep fucking forgetting to
You
get
have
it framed.
got to frame that, and good God, you got to send me some pictures of that. Holy shit, man!
Yeah, I will actually. That's pretty funny.
Now, can we expect to hear any new Honky music soon?
I don't think we're right now. Don't have anything in the works. We were talking about maybe doing some shows, but since I live in Asheville and Bobby's in Austin, and we have so many different drummers to choose from, but we'd have to get one anyway. There's a lot of logistics to go into it, so hopefully we'll work something out. And it would be nice to get back in the studio and rock some of the songs out that we were working on. But our last show was March 14th and 15th, I think, right when the pandemic hit. And then I moved out here. So we just haven't really had the chance to get together and do that. Haven't been really convenient.
Right.
But Bobby's playing out there right now, doing every Wednesday at the Continental Club. He plays at midnight with Gordy from Grady, and Hunt Sales used to play with Tin Machine with Bowie.
Yeah,
And some other drummers. And he goes out and does a blues jam at midnight every Wednesday. They got that going on. And he's also working for Gibson out in Austin, setting up guitars and running some of the stuff in their shop.
Well, our Austin friends will have to head out.
He's got a Gibson Les Paul tattoo all the way up his arm. It's only fitting.
That's so bad.
They could practice guitar while we were on the road,
So badass. Well, get back to the Surfers briefly, kind of your touring. You mentioned that things start changing. You start getting more juice and more support. And what was that first Lollapalooza tour like? Any memories of the other bands stick out that you?
Oh yeah, I was kind of a dick back then. I've changed a little bit now, but yeah, I remember I got quoted in Spin magazine saying what was the best part of Lollapalooza, and I think I said that dinner is served during Living Color and Susie and the Banshees. But yeah, it was. We were the second band to ever play it because Rollins' band was before us, and we played at like 4:00 in the afternoon every day, and we would get up on stage and do our thing. And Gibby had a couple of gags that you couldn't get away with, which was the dog poppers in the 12 gauge, and throw up a beach ball, and when it gets close enough, there is flame and impact that comes out to blow up the beach ball, so people think it's real. And a fake whiskey bottle, he throw it up in the air and crash it over his head. And so, but the shotgun, it was kind of funny because we had Ice-T doing the Cop Killer tour. Body Count was after us, and he'd come out with his little 9mm doing tick, 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 tick. And that was after Gibby's like pointing the 12 gauge at the crowd and shooting off dog poppers. So it kind of, as he put it, stole his thunder on that, which he would watch us every night. He was really, really nice.
Well, there's a video for everybody up of a show on that, and what I love about it, including the gags with the shotgun and everything, is just how hardcore y'all are performing and just don't give a fuck. And there's just this massive crowd, massive. They
didn't give a fuck either.
Absolutely. And
they're like trying to save their spot for 9 Inch Vanelli.
Yeah.
And they got their Butthole Burger, because they call like all the food after all the bands. I believe the burger was the Butthole Burger. So you'd actually see people with their elbows up on the stage, or as close as they could get to it, just standing there, not even watching us, but eating their Butthole Burger, waiting for whoever was coming on next. But all of our fans were way back in the back, and tearing shit up after the time delay speakers way off in the lawns and shit.
Yeah,
they didn't buy any. None of them bought seats out right in front of us. We could barely see it. You just see some circles on the hills up at the top.
Yeah, I remember I saw you guys in a similar situation. I didn't see that, but I saw that co-headlining tour you did with Stone Temple Pilots. Was it called the BBQ Mitzvah or something?
I don't know who the fuck came up with that stupid ass idea.
Yeah.
It was pretty dumb. But yeah, I think that's what they called it, something like that.
Yeah, I saw you guys at Lakewood on that tour, and I remember
Oh
just
yeah.
watching people sing the Butthole Surfers, and I thought, God damn, this is perfect that some of these kids are seeing this, and
Oh, dude, yeah, yeah. There was one show when we opened for Pearl Jam, and we had done a string of shows with like STP, and we did some shows with Nirvana, and we get asked to do this Pearl Jam shit, and I guess I don't know why we didn't practice, but we never even got together really before we did the show. Maybe we practiced once, to get our gear packed or whatever, and so we get there, and it's like early in the daytime again, no light show, no movies, no strobes, none of that kind of shit. And I'm looking down, and there's like Chad with his Bermuda shorts on and his button down shirt, and holding his beer, and all of his friends that look just like him. And all of a sudden I hear, "You suck." And in between songs, I was like about to say something, and I don't even know who said it, but in my head I'm just like, no, they're right. We actually suck. I mean, we sound fucking awful. Even for us, we sounded awful. But I had to agree with them, man. In my head, I wanted to be mad, but I was like, nah, yeah, that's why people practice, I think.
right, right. Well, do
But you
you?
would have thought we sucked if we sounded good.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. That would just especially dealing with those dudes, man. Do you have any unrealized collaborations that you're hoping to make a reality?
Oh shit, yeah, man. Yeah, no, I got lots of them. There's one that might be. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but there's a drummer that's moving out this way, and he's got a plan that I would love to see happen. But it would be him on drums, me on bass, maybe some banjo, some guitar player I've never played with. Well, two other guitar players I've never played with from two total different worlds of music. And if that happens, that would be like I will put the earplugs back in and play loud again.
Shit, yeah, man. Yeah,
But
there's a lot of you guys living up, a lot of musicians up in that
yeah,
Asheville area.
yeah, there's some play. I mean, Claude from Ween lives out here, and he actually played with Honky, and played with Moist Boys when I was doing the Moist Boys Texas shows with
Fuck
them and
yeah.
stuff. So we played together a few times. He's just super busy, obviously, with Ween, and he's got a rehearsal studio that him and his buddy Brett are running out here, which is a super cool place. Used to be one of the few places for black folk to be able to stay at in Nashville. And
Right.
so now he's keeping it he's trying to rebuild the restaurant, put the Soul Kitchen back in there. It would be like where the baseball teams would come, the Negro League baseball teams would
Right.
stay at or whatever. And so he's already made some of the rooms up there, and they've got some historical value being where they're at, which is great for them as far as what they get. But hopefully that all work out. Again, he did that. They got it open during the pandemic. Like the one
Wow.
thing you don't want to open during the pandemic is a practice place.
No
Bunch of
shit.
people in a small room.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So weird business decision, but you planned it out before that shit hit.
right, right.
But
Well, it's
anyways, yeah, great musicians out here all over, man.
we had Jay Weinberg. He's Max Weinberg's son, and he plays with this metal band Slipknot. He lives up there.
Oh no shit,
Um,
he's playing drums for Slipknot.
yeah, yeah. He's been with
Okay,
them
because I remember
for.
that Max Weinberg guy, man. I remember Chuck Young, who's a writer for a bunch of magazines, Rolling Stone, Playboy, all that. But he said that was the heaviest. Max Weinberg was the heaviest hitting drummer he had ever seen out of any of the bands. And he wrote, he was the first one to write about the Sex Pistols when they came over to the States and all that shit. But he was just blown away by how hard Max hit the shit. And so every time I would see him, I was watching him. He was a fucking monster.
Yeah, and this is his son Jay. He's
Yeah.
like a fucking powerhouse.
Well, if he's playing that Slipknot shit, I think that's what most of my friends that listen to Slipknot listen to is the drums.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you got to have your chops up, I'm sure, on that.
God Almighty, yeah. Um, well, it's summertime. What records do you reach for when the weather turns hot?
Oh shit, man! I like listening to Chicha music.
Right.
There's I guess the Roots of Chicha volumes 1 and 2. Great listening to music because you can't be sad listening to that shit.
Hell yeah.
Uh, Yeah, I've been digging into the John Hartford lately. That's good. That's good kickback, good time music. I reached for Graham Parsons. That's some really good smooth summertime music.
Hell yeah.
Uh, who else? Oh yeah, no, that's kind of been most of it lately. But again, when I'm writing music, I don't really listen to as much stuff.
Oh yeah,
But,
I get that. You got to create
yeah,
it, you know. Well, one
yeah,
last
yeah.
question.
I get my own stuff in my head, and that's when I start working on it.
Hell yeah. Well, one last question. I always hear your dog in the background in your music. Can you tell us a little about he or she?
Well, the one I've had, we've I guess even in the Butthole Surfers, we had Mark Says All Right, which was Mark Farner, Paul's dog,
Hell yeah.
slowed down, growling. But your dogs. To me, dogs represent a phase of your life, and you look back, and those dogs have seen more of you and your stupidness and your goodness and everything else than anybody else has over the period of their lifetime. And luckily they can't talk, but uh, but so every era, like on my pure luck when I have my dog Patton, who rest in peace, he got runned over in New Orleans when I was down there, St. Claude Street, and so it was great to have him on that recording. I always have him on there, and yeah, they just happened naturally on this last record. The dogs were going nuts when I was playing, and I was like, hey, that kind of works. So, but it's Boogity and Aaliyah, who passed away at the beginning of this year. She was one of the ones that trained our new little one before she passed away, and they bonded over the chicken I told you the dogs killed. That was
Yeah.
like they weren't buddies at all. The little one wanted to be, but as soon as they killed the chicken together right before she died, that was the bonding. So
Yeah.
nature's popcorn. Solved the problem. Yeah.
Well, Jeff, thank you. This has been just the funnest talk, man. We're looking forward to you playing Flicker Theater here in Athens, Georgia. Any last words for our listeners?
Yeah, man. Make the easy stuff look hard and make the hard stuff look easy.
I want to sincerely thank Jeff Pinkus for the great talk, and looking so forward to his show June 17th. The art opening of Jeff Rapier and Gary Autry will be at the wonderful Flicker Theater and Bar. Make sure you get your tickets now and come on down and see a absolute legend, man, in person. 3 legends. They're all legendary. Well, stay switched on, and we will talk to you soon.